We're roughly at the halfway point in the season for college basketball, so I'm going to be giving the freshman class their report cards. Obviously, I can't cover every single freshman in a video, so I try to cover 15, and this is the part 2, and you guys absolutely love the first one. I never ask for likes on this channel, so if you want to see a part 3, let's get this video to 1,000 likes. We can do that, and plus that'll tell me if y'all want to see a part 3 or not. I don't really need to explain too much, you're going to pick up with it. We're giving the players their report cards. It's pretty simple. Also, we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, so if you love content like this, join the family. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. To start things off, we got a 5-star recruit and a top 20 player in high school last year. We got Jamee Roach, and he's the point guard for Duke. Roach has been playing a lot of meaningful minutes for Duke already this season. He's averaging 30 minutes per game. For the season so far, he's averaging 11 points, 2.5 rebounds, and over 3 assists. The nicest part about his game though is that he's shooting at 50% from the field and over 30% from deep. Another thing too is that the stats may be a little deceiving about his play. He's not putting up insane numbers, but he's getting better and better every time he goes out there. In his most recent game, they lost to Virginia Tech, but he put up 22 points. If we're being honest, he's been one of the most underrated freshmen too that nobody's talking about. I've been extremely impressed with how he handled the hype going into Duke, and he continues to live up to that potential. For Jamee Roach, I'm giving him a B+, and here's why. Overall, he has great stats, shooting at 50% from the field, averaging double digits, but a downside is he's not the best 3-point shooter, so if he cleans that up and gets in the 33% range, he'll get that A. For now though, a B+ suits him best. Let's get on to the next one. Next up, we got the ultimate fan favorite and the man of the hour. He's averaging 27 points per game. We got Sharif Cooper. Where do you even begin to start with this kid? He's only played in 2 games, but in both of those games, he's went off. I'm sure he's not going to average 27 for the entire season, but it looks like he's at least going to get 20 per game. If you haven't watched Sharif play college basketball this season, you're missing out. I gotta say, this is the only guy in the country right now I legit stop what I'm doing to go watch. He's that exciting to watch. He's such a smooth player. For me personally, this is the most exciting player to watch since Zion Williamson. I can't get enough of this guy. The way he holds himself on and off the court, it's a great thing. In those 2 games, he's averaging 27 points per game, 5 rebounds, over 10 assists, and 41% from the field. The only, and I mean the only downside to his game so far has been his 3-point shooting. Besides that, his play has been phenomenal, and he's changed this Auburn team. He's given them that spark they needed, and it looks like things are starting to change there. I really struggled when thinking about what grade to give him because he has only played in 2 games, but I can only judge him off of that, and I think not an A+, but an A suits him best. The reason I can't give him that A+ is because he did have some costly turnovers that cost Auburn a game against Alabama, and his 3-point percentage is below 10%. But he's not a 3-point shooter. You can go on and on about this guy. There's so many great things to say, but let's get on to the next one. Next up, we have a player who's been a big disappointment for Texas Tech. We got Namari Burnett. I vaguely remember last year making a video or 2 talking about this guy, and people were saying he was going to be a one and done in the next big thing. Also too, I'm not 100% sure on this. I think I'm 90% sure, but he's the highest rated recruit that Texas Tech has ever got. He was a 5-star recruit, had all the hype and attention in the world, arguably one of the best shooters in high school last year, but he just fell off. For Texas Tech so far, he's been a complete no-show. He's averaging only 5 points per game, under 2 rebounds, and under an assist. To make things even worse, as bad as those numbers are, he's only shooting 28% from the field. And remember how I told you he was one of the best shooters in high school? That hasn't translated over to college. He's shooting 17% from 3. Y'all know how I rock. I don't care who you are, I do not sugarcoat things. And although I really like this guy, shooting under 20% from deep is not acceptable. 17%, that's a pretty miserable field goal percentage. It's not just threes either. His overall field goal percentage is 28, and that's terrible. I really feel for him because he's had a rough start to his season so far. I'm not saying his basketball career is over, and hopefully he turns things around, but this is a perfect example in case that no matter how highly ranked you are or how many stars you have, it doesn't matter when you get to college. I know it seems like I only said bad things about him, but there's not too much good things to talk about. He has showed flashes and signs of greatness, but it's been minimal. I really like Namari. Maybe it's not as bad as I made it out to seem, but it hasn't been a good season or average by any means. I'm going to give him a D. If I'm being 100% honest too, I think giving him a D is very generous. Next up, we got a 6'4", 210-pound guard who's been absolutely balling out and putting on a clinic this season. We got Cameron Thomas. I said Cameron Thomas, he also goes by Cam. Either way, you get the point. Before I say anything, I'm just going to read you off these stats. He's averaging 22 points per game, 3 rebounds and 2 assists, and shooting 43% from the field. Behind the 3-point line, he's shooting 31.3%. All around, these numbers are great. If you want to watch a player legitimately go out there and get a bucket whenever he feels like it, you need to watch an LSU game. Not only is he making a valuable case for the best freshman in the SEC and maybe the entire country, but he may just be the best player in the SEC regardless of class. There's a reason he's averaging 22 points per game. He can shoot the ball, he can do pull-up mid-ranges, he can get to the goal, and he's a good free throw shooter. He's not going to wow you with his playmaking ability, but that's not how he plays. He goes out there to score 20 points a night, and that's his play style. I'm going to make this one short and sweet. I'm not spending too much more time talking about him. He's getting an A+, and you understand why. Next up, we got a 6'10", 220-pound center. Was also a 5-star recruit. We got Musa Cease. The remedy for centers is all relatively the same in college. Nobody talks about them. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. They could average 20 points per game. It's just not exciting to watch. Old Moose, on the other hand, hasn't really been dominating, but he's been okay. He's averaging 7 points per game, 8 rebounds, and shooting 50% from the field. Most of his buckets are around the rim, around the paint. He'll get a rebound here and there and put it in. He's not a big factor on the offensive end for Memphis, but on the defensive end, it's a different story. Is he the most athletic center out there? No, but he's athletic enough to get the job done. When you're almost 7 foot, just having your presence in the paint is going to affect a lot of shots. One thing I would like to see from him moving forward is for him to get more aggressive, shoot more shots, and attack the rim and get more rebounds. He looks really shy out there from the film I studied and watched. Hopefully he'll fix that and get more comfortable as the season goes on, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Although his play has been bad, it hasn't been good, it's been average, and average is roughly a C. And that's what I'm giving old Moose. He's getting a C for this, and I think he can improve that, so keep working. Next up, we gotta go back to Duke. We got another point guard sitting at 6'2", 163 pounds to be exact. We got DJ Steward. If you're just going by stats and maybe even his play, DJ is arguably the best player on this team. He's averaging 14 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and shooting 43% from the field. His 3-point percentage is also pretty solid, sitting at 31%. Also kind of similar to his other teammate, it seems like the more games he plays, the more comfortable and better he gets. The one thing I'll say about DJ is that overall, he seems like a complete player. He's not just going to be a scorer. He can pass the ball, he can rebound, and do the dirty work. On the defensive side of the ball, he gets slow to the ground, and he can lock up any point guard in my opinion. The best part about him though is that he's super consistent. Every time he goes out there, you know what you're going to get, at least 15 points a game. Or maybe not 15 every game, but you're at least getting 10. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you can count on that every game, it's a big deal. His play so far has been exceptional, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. I'm going to give DJ an A-, and here's why. Although his numbers look good, it's not just stats, you got to watch the film. I think he's a great player, and he's going to get even better and be an even greater player, but he does lack leadership. This Duke team doesn't have a specific leader. I would like to see him step up and take that role. Once he does that, I'll give him that A or A+, but for now, an A- is good. Next up, we got a 6'3", 200-pound point guard for Kentucky. We got Devonte Askew. This is going to be one of the more interesting ones. Some people think he's playing good for Kentucky, but other people think he's playing average or subpar and he could do more. I was on the side where I would like to see him do more, but I've watched the last 4 games for Kentucky and he seems like one of the best players. He's not a guy who's going to go out there and give you 20 points a night. He's going to control the game, make a big shot here and there, and give you 12 to 15. The best part about that though is that he knows his role and he's settling in with the system. His other teammates, including BJ Boston, just seem not comfortable out there, but for Devin, he seems like he knows what he's doing. For the season, he's averaging 8 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. I get it. Those numbers don't jump out at you, but you gotta watch the game. He's a productive player player and he's efficient on the court. He's not going to lose you the game, and he may make a shot to win the game for you. One thing to note is that he is shooting 40% from the field and above 33% from the three-point line, and that's really good for Kentucky because they're the worst shooting team in the country. The more he plays, the more he talks on the court and is becoming the leader and the voice of this team. Like I talked about with BJ Boston, I would love to see Devin get more aggressive and take more shots. He hasn't done that, and even though he is efficient, I'm not going to reward you for taking minimal shots. I like Askew, but I'm only giving him a C+, and a C+ isn't bad, but I do not think he's deserved to be. I think at the end of the season, when I hand out report cards again, he could get an A or even a B+ though. With that being said, let's get into our next one. Next up, we got to throw it up to the Big Ten. We got a 6'2", 185-pound point guard, and we got Christian Lander. I hate to say this, but this may be the worst player on this list. Or not the worst player, but he's most definitely getting the worst grade. I'm going to read you these stats, and yes, these are correct. He's averaging 1.9 points per game, 0.6 rebounds, 0.9 assists, and shooting 21.9% from the field. 21.9% from the overall field. Not three-pointers, but the entire field. This was a 5-star recruit, so I don't want to see any excuses in the comment section. I can shoot better with my feet than this guy can shoot with his hands. I'm going to keep this one simple. There's not too much to say. His play has been awful so far. First things first, he's not playing a lot, so that's going to tell you something that he's not being good in practice. And when he's playing, he's not efficient or even making any impact whatsoever. He's had a terrible year so far, so you know he's getting a terrible report card. I hate to do it, but he's getting an F. I think we can all agree with that. There's not too much more to say. Let's get into the next one. Next up, we got a 6'5", 186-pound guard. He goes to Tennessee. Dang, 6'5" guard. Anyways, we got Keon Johnson. I know this is random, but his name is so unique. I love that name, Keon. Alright, anyways, let's move on with the video. Keon is averaging 8.5 points per game, over 3 rebounds and 2 assists, and shooting 45% from the field. Not bad, especially from the last player. His 3-point percentage is terrible. It's below 20%, but he doesn't shoot that many, so he could bring that up throughout the year. One thing that really hurts him is that he doesn't really necessarily know his role on this Tennessee team just yet. Some games he'll go out there and drop 15 points, and then the next one he'll drop 2. And anytime you see that with a player, that means they're not comfortable with the system. Well, not anytime you see it, but anytime you see that with freshmen. Overall though, for Keon and Tennessee, they're a great program and a great team, and he's making an impact when he is playing. Similar to the other players I've talked about in this video, I would like to see him step up and be more aggressive and shoot more shots. He seems shy and timid out there, and occasionally I try to give freshmen a pass, but when you're a 4 or 5 star recruit, it's hard to. His play so far hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been average. It's in between average and good. I don't think he did enough to earn a B-, and it was hard because I wanted to give him that, but I just can't. I'm going to give him a C+ for this season so far. Next up, ironically, we got another 6'5" guard. His name's Bryce Thompson, and he plays for Kansas. To say the least, Bryce's season so far has been pretty disappointing. This was also a guy in high school who was regarded as one of the top shooters, but it hasn't translated over to the next level. He's only shooting 35% from the field and 25% behind the arc. His stats are not too much better. He's only averaging 5 points per game, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. Those stats aren't crazy, but he is only averaging 17 minutes per game, so he's not playing a lot, if that makes any sense. This was a hard one because when I read you those stats, immediately you think, oh, he's having a bad season, but I really don't think he is. He's playing for a great team, there's other good players in front of him, and when he's playing, it hasn't been all bad, and it's been good at times. It's hard to get hot when you're coming off the bench and only playing 15 minutes per game. This is just one of those where the numbers do lie in my opinion, and if you watched him play, you know what I'm talking about. Those stats look like he should be getting a D-, but I'm not going to give him that. He's hit a couple big time shots for Kansas in pressure moments, so I think that's got to count towards something. I'm giving Bryce Thompson a C. I think that suits him best. Let's get on with the next one. Next up, we have a guard for Illinois. He wears number 44. He's also from Illinois, so the home state. We got Adam Miller. One thing I remember last year was that everyone was inboxing me and saying, yo, you need to look out for Adam Miller. He's very underrated. I guess those people were somewhat right because he's having an okay season. He's averaging 9 points per game, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and shooting 40% from the field. He's also shooting 36% behind the 3-point line, and that's the best so far I think we've had in this video. The only negative thing I will say about him is that he's inconsistent. He's had a game with 0 points this year. He's had a game with 14. He's had a game with 3. He's had a game with 13, so you get what I'm saying. If you watch an Illinois basketball game, you don't know what to expect out of him. I gotta say that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I do not like inconsistent players. Miller was hovering around that 5-star recruit ranking. I think when it was all said and done, it was a 4-star recruit. And he's having an okay season, like I said, but I don't see the hype. Overall for this season, when I watched the film on him, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but at best, he seems like a mediocre player to me. He hasn't taken over games, and when you're supposed to be a 4 or 5-star recruit, that's what we want to see out of you. I'm giving Adam Miller a C-. I think that suits him best. Now let's get on to the next one. Next up, we got another Kentucky player. I think that's our third one in this video. He's standing at 6'8", 220 pounds. We got Jamee Brakefield. This is another interesting one. He wasn't really getting hyped up going into college, and most people thought he was underrated. So therefore, you can't say he's having a disappointing season because he wasn't getting a lot of hype. I don't know if he's not performing in practice or what the deal is, but he's not even playing that much for Duke. He's only averaging 17 minutes per game, and that may seem like a lot, but it's really not. In those 17 minutes though, he's been somewhat efficient. He's averaging almost 6 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. Shooting 47% from the field, not too shabby, but also shooting 44% behind the 3-point line. When I read you those stats, you're probably thinking the same thing I was thinking. Why is he not getting more playing time? I'm not the coach. I'm not going to make any assumptions. I don't know. The only thing I could say or even guess would be it's a practice issue. I can only grade this guy off of what I've seen so far in the film and his stats, and what I've seen, it's been pretty solid. He hasn't played a lot, but when he's out there, he's made an impact. I'm giving Jamee Brakefield a B. That's an interesting one and an interesting player to watch, so if you like college basketball, keep your eyes open for this guy. Back to back like Jordan 96, 97, we got, I believe, now our 4th Duke player. He's a 7-foot center, and he goes by the name of Mark Williams. Mark has been an absolute no-show for the Blue Devils this season. He's averaging 2 points per game, 2 rebounds, and 0.5 assists, shooting 50% from the field. He's only playing 6 minutes per game, so it's very hard to judge this guy. Not too sure why he's not playing a lot, because going into college, he was a 4-star recruit. He's also 7 foot, so I know they could use him on the defensive side of the ball, but he probably just ain't that good in general. It's hard to grade these players when 1, there's not enough film, and 2, they're not playing a lot. And I really struggle with this one, but I'm going to give him a D+. Not too much more to say about that. Kept it short and sweet. Let's get on to the next one. Next up, we got a 6'8", 215-pound forward. He goes to Arizona State. We got Marcus Bagley. Finally, we're back with a player who's got some somewhat nice of stats. He's averaging 12 points per game, over 7 rebounds, 1 assist, and shooting a terrible 34% from the field. What's up with that? These numbers look backwards. Listen to this. He's shooting 34% from the field, but shooting 38% behind the 3-point line. If your 3-point percentage is higher than your overall field goal percentage, something's going wrong. I don't know if I was a player, if I'd be happy with my 3-point percentage being higher than my overall field goal percentage. Let me know in the comment section what you think about that. Anyways, moving forward, it really doesn't matter. He's been a bright spark for Arizona State. Him and Josh Christopher have been one of the best freshman duos so far. Although on the stat sheet he doesn't look like an efficient player, he's making an impact, and I think that's all that matters. Sometimes people get too caught up in the stats, and I'm just reading them off to give you guys a perspective because they don't mean everything. They mean something, but they don't mean everything. It's how you play out there. I like this guy. When I was watching the film and doing my research before this video, he goes hard. He knows his role on the team, and that's the biggest thing with these freshmen, like I emphasize all the time. When they know their role and they get comfortable with their role, that's when they can be the most effective and efficient. For Arizona State, I think they found a diamond in a rough with him. He's not going to be a one and done player, but I think by his 2nd or 3rd year, he could possibly be one of the more better players, not only in his conference, but maybe the country. I see the potential in this guy. Will he do that? I don't know. I'm just saying it could happen. He hasn't done enough to get an A, but I think he's done more than enough to get a B. So, you know where we're going with this. He's getting a B+. Next up, and last but not least on our list, once again, if y'all want to see a part 3, let's aim for 1,000 likes, but we got a 6'10", forward for Kentucky. We've had a ton of Kentucky and Duke players, it feels like. We got Isaiah Jackson. This Kentucky team has struggled this entire year, but Jackson has been a bright side. He's averaging 6.5 points per game, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, and shooting 45% from the field. He's not a 3-point shooter, and I don't even know if he's attempted a 3 this season, so we're not even going to talk about that. He's just basically your old school and more modern day type of player / center. He's averaging over 20 minutes per game, so that's enough to produce some stats, and his stat line isn't the greatest, but it's almost good. It's really so hard to judge these Kentucky players because I don't know what to think about them. Sometimes they'll go out there and play good, then other times they'll go out there and play like they'd never played before. Once again, it's the inconsistent play for me. He's had a game with 2 points, he's had a game with 0 points, but then he'll have a game with 14 or 15 points. For all my players out there, you need to make up your mind. If you're going to be trash, at least be consistent trash. If you're going to be good, be consistently good. There's no in-betweens. And oh yeah, keep in mind, I got to remind you guys, because some people think I'm being too hard on these kids. Everyone in this video was either a 4 or 5 star recruit, so there's no excuses. If they was a 2 or 3 star, I could get it, but no. His play this season has been mediocre at best, and that's all there is to it. When you play mediocre and have mediocre stats, you get a mediocre grade, and that's a C. I actually don't think he deserves a C. I'm gonna give him a C-. This was the part 2 for report cards. Like I said, if y'all want to see a part 3, I try to do 15 players a video, 1,000 likes, and I'll do that for you. But hey, man, with all this being said, that's gonna wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what you doing? Join the family. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.